Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to FTRL, but not FTRL as you know it. So, for anybody joining us that is perhaps new to FTRL, or anybody who's a regular part of the scene who's been living under some sort of digital rock for the past 12 hours, we have some very, very exciting news, and that is that FTRL has now entered into a partnership and is now no longer just FTRL, but FTRL in association with Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate. So Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate team, for those who don't know, probably one of the best, well, what am I saying, the best British Touring Car Championships team, featuring the current BTCC champion Tom Ingram. So they have entered into partnership with FTRL. We have entered into partnership with them in order to become their official sim racing league, and that covers sort of all FTRL activities across sort of GT Sports, ACC, anything to get into in iRacing, you name it. So this is, of course, very, very exciting news. Like I see, we've already got plenty of people in the chat, so give us a wave in the comments if you're there. As usual, we're in for a fantastic evening's racing. So we've got probably a few more minutes until we start, and I'm joined today in the commentary booth by our good friend and GT2 racer Zombie. Good evening.
Good evening. How we doing?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Just as I took a drink.
Yeah, you've joined us at a very exciting time. I think we're going to need a drink. So yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously such exciting news for FTRL, for all of us here.
Massive, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, this is something that's been in the works for a while, shall we say. I think originally, it sort of it started as us getting in contact with sort of Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate, just to talk to them about maybe doing a couple of endurance races under their name, maybe just taking some tentative steps into the world of esports and Gran Turismo racing in particular. But we've really sort of gone all in. Both parties have gone all in, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, so it must show the confidence that Bristol Street Motors and Accelerate have as well, doesn't it, in FTRL itself?
Yeah, and I mean, this is testament to the sort of community we've built up over the past 6 years. It is now, it's incredible. It's been 6 years, starting as sort of just a way for a few friends to keep in touch and do some racing, really. But that it's sort of burgeoned and grown into this is absolutely fantastic. And it's a perfect link as well, because we all love sort of the British touring cars. The group of us, sort of as many of us as possible, get together several times a year to go up and down the country. We have people come from all over the country. We have people come from abroad even to come down and watch the touring cars. The latest one we had was down at Brands Hatch just the other month. So yeah, it's a perfect fit.
Me debut with Silverstone.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, I'll be there as well.
It's my birthday weekend, so I'm looking forward to that.
Sweet, absolutely. Alright, so for anybody who's joining us, we probably should get down to the racing. As exciting as all this news is, we are still here for the racing. We wouldn't have it any other way. So for anybody who's just joining us fresh, just as we're about to start qualifying, great timing, I will explain a little bit about how this evening is going to work. So we are currently at the Watkins Glen course, and we start at the short course. So this is the Group 4 cars, and a variety of manufacturers. We'll have a quick run through the driver standings and manufacturer standings in a moment, as we see the drivers exit the pit lane for what is only 5 minutes of qualifying, so you're going to have to be quick getting your fast laps in. So we'll have the Group 4 cars first. They will run for a shorter race, no tyre changes, no fuel sort of depletion or anything like that, so it's a pure sprint race. And then following that, we will have a reverse grid start for the second race of the evening, which is a longer Group 3, more of an endurance race, which will run over the course of sort of 45 to 50 minutes. And in the Group 3 race, we will have sort of tyre wear, fuel depletion, strategy, everything like that. Okay, so let's have a quick look.
Any predictions for tonight, or?
Oh, it's so difficult to tell, isn't it? I mean, what's been great about this season so far is that the Group 4 cars for the various manufacturers have been very different in performance from the Group 3s. So the likes of, obviously, we're looking at FTR Aaron here. So Aaron in the Ferrari with his teammate Pagani, who's a little further back there. So they come around for the start of the first flying lap of qualifying. These Ferraris have been electric in Group 3, but while they've still sort of managed to get towards the front, because they've been, well, because frankly they're two of the top drivers in the league, they've struggled a little more in Group 4, whereas the likes of, I'd say if we head down to Graham in the Aston Martin, and his teammate Lee, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, these guys have been very, very fast in Group 4, so I would keep an eye out on Graham if I'm going to make a prediction.
Right. T. Smith obviously can't be counted out.
No, I don't think so. I think you can never count out T. Smith, obviously current FTRL champion. And yeah, he's just extremely rapid in any car, in any situation. So yeah, let's have a look then. This is a good time, I think, to have a look at the current table. So, the driver standings are as follows. At the top, T. Smith, as we were just saying. So T. Smith is on 6 race wins for the season so far and 265 points. It is 1 point for a win, 1 point per position, sorry, not 1 point for a win. That'll be a bit rubbish. 1 point, 1 point per position in the Group 4 race, and then roughly double that amount of points for the Group 3 race. So T. Smith leads away on 265, followed by Aaron in second, who's going around with a penalty at the minute. Aaron is 245 points, so 20 points back. And following him in third is his teammate, Ferrari teammate Ftrl Pagani, who is literally just a point behind Aaron on 244. So those are the 3 guys leading the way at the moment. And there's a lot of... Oh, there he is, just ahead of T. Smith. So these guys coming round to finish lap 3 now. Let's keep an eye on T. Smith, see if he can go any faster. With 1:13.3 to beat, not this time for T. Smith. And there we go, as sort of predicted, Graham is right up there in P3 at the minute, ahead of Aaron and then Ross. We've then got Captain Chubbs in the Genesis, which has proven pretty handy in both classes as well, actually, over the last few weeks. Panda, his teammate, not too far behind him. We've then got Beanbag in the Honda, I believe, yep. Dusty Fossil currently in 9th, although he is improving, so he has a chance to move a bit further up the running order. And then at the back at the moment, we've got Joker, who looks to be in the... Is that the Viper? I believe it is. Joker was a latecomer to this division and to this season in particular, but he's really proven his worth so far. He's been racing a bit in GT2 as well.
Yeah.
He's pretty quick. I know he was previously in the Audi in this division, but he's had a lot of trouble with that. It's a pretty horrendous car to try and drive. So he's back to the Viper. Here he comes. This is the final lap of qualifying, so after everybody's crossed the line here, we're going to see the final classification for the race. Dusty Fossil improves slightly. He's in P8. Here comes Pagani. Can't quite improve on his time. T. Smith, however, Graham, Chubbs have all finished, and I don't think we're going to get anyone else. Only Panda left to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. He's not going to improve. So there we go. Very, very tight, as it always is at the top. 48 thousandths of a second separating Pagani and T. Smith. Right, so we will wait for the start, which should be happening shortly. Here we go. We're not hanging about tonight. I've just had a note, Zombie, just say if you could turn your mic volume up a little bit, just to get the balance. Cheers.
Is that any better?
We'll see. I'll have to wait someone on the stream to tell me, but it should be okay if you've turned it up a bit.
Yeah, I put it up 4 clicks there, so hopefully
Perfect.
it's alright now.
Should be fine. As always, we like a... Oh, here we go. I was about to start going on about something else, so we are ready to go. So Pagani 2 leaders off as we start the first race of the evening, and away we go. So Pagani leads us away, T. Smith behind. It is a rolling start, just to give the drivers a little bit of space at the beginning of the race. It will soon bunch up. Already got support in the chat from Luke Goy for Team Ross. Ross currently in P6, and it looks like everybody has got away fairly evenly. So Pagani will lead us away. And in P3, Graham is coming under a lot of pressure from Captain Chubbs and Aaron behind him. Aaron pulls to the inside, but he's blocked off by Chubbs as they come down towards the tricky chicane section. And they've all made it through fairly closely.
Gets him.
Oh, nice move there from Beanbag. Makes it up to P8. Joker's still at the back. So Pagani still leads by half a second from T. Smith, who's pulled out a decent gap to Graham in P3. Graham's still come under pressure. It's now Aaron in P4. As they come around for the end of lap 1, no real incident yet, which is good. Plenty of time. We've got 13 laps, so there's plenty of time for people to make their move. Ross behind is now looking pretty interested in P5. Ooh, we run a little bit wide there. It should be okay. You have to watch out for penalties, especially on turn 1. It's so easy to run wide.
Bag on the inside.
Ah, there you go. Just as we were saying, he's picked up a penalty. So Beanbag, for any of you are not aware, when you pick up a penalty, there will be a certain penalty zone on the track where you'll have to serve that penalty and the car will slow down accordingly. In fact, we're just about to see that, so we'll keep an eye on this. What it will probably...
at the back of the pack.
Yeah, I think it might do. Yeah, you can see the penalty zone, so Beanbag will slow down. And, oh, actually... No, Joker's got him. So we've got Dusty Fossil
over the back of Graham as well.
There we go, so Aaron looking for P3. The front two have made a bit of a break for it. So Pagani and T. Smith close together. And then Graham being followed by Aaron. Aaron very rapid through the corner, putting Graham under all sorts of pressure. Will he be able to get in the slipstream and make a move up towards the chicane? It's a brave man who makes a move into the chicane, but it can be done. And Aaron looks like he's going to have a go. He pulls to the inside, hits the brakes. Graham affords in the room. Don't want to get tangled up this early on, so that is Aaron up to P3 in the Ferrari. A bit further back, Captain Chubbs is still being tailed by Ross, but Panda is catching up as well, so the two Genesis cars there.
Bag's picked up another penalty as well.
He needs to avoid that. He doesn't want to get detached off the back. Graham's still sticking to the back of Aaron. T. Smith now a little bit closer at the front as Pagani leads us over for the start of lap 4.
Aaron's picked up a penalty.
Oh, and that could be very interesting. And Graham has looked down the inside of turn 1 there. Had a good old look there, but couldn't quite make it work. He's going to get another chance up the hill, no doubt. Go on board with Graham. Now, is he going to make his move, or, to be honest, what he could quite easily do is just stick right behind Aaron and wait for that penalty to be served without having the risk of making a move. A bit further back, Ross has taken that chicane really, really well. But still Chubb staying ahead. I have to say I really like the livery on that Lamborghini.
Yeah, it's nice, like, isn't it? The colours go well together.
Graham once again, and now Aaron served his penalty. Graham back into P3. So these two really going tooth and nail, and it is letting the front two get away a little bit, and T Smith is getting ever closer. The gap as they come around for the end of lap 4 is just 0.3 of a second. Yeah, so there's a lot in the chat about the different cars and the balance of performance, so there's probably a good opportunity to explain that. So in the game, all of these cars will have slightly different levels of performance, even though they're all Group 4. However, Gran Turismo applies a balancing system known as BOP, or Balance of Performance. And I'm just going to hang on in case T Smith wants to make a move. No, but he's going to stay there. So yeah, what that will do is, if you turn that setting on, then what it will do is it will balance the sort of power outputs and weights of all the cars roughly. It's not perfect, as you will find some cars are better than others, but as we said, some manufacturers will be good in the Group 4s, and the Group 3 car will not be as good. So it does provide overall a reasonably good sort of, leveling the playing field, allowing us to use different manufacturers without any need for tuning or anything like that.
Aaron back ahead of Graham, Ross ahead of Chubbs.
There we go, so we start to see the usual players filtering towards the front of the pack in this race. Ross is looking strong. Yeah, so see now Beanbag has dropped off the back slightly. T Smith is making his move. Pagani's already pulled to the inside to defend, coming into the chicane. T Smith is going to try and go the long way round. He's into first, he's got the run. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Oh. That's really good racing.
Ross starting to close up on Graham as well. Graham's got a penalty, so Ross will get ahead here.
Oh, it's a 1.5 second penalty as well. He's not going to serve it this lap though, he must have just picked that up. I can imagine that is cutting the chicane that's got him that. Yep, Joker into P8. What has happened to Panda? No idea. That must have been a penalty, and a fairly hefty one at that, because he's all the way back down to P10. He was 7th, I believe. So now he's going to have to fight his way back up, and we are roughly halfway through the race, just coming around to the end of lap 6. It's looking very cloudy at Watkins Glen today, I have to say. Yes, as noted by Peteman in the chat, this is classic FTRL, the Pagani T Smith battle. Absolutely two of our fastest drivers. And here they go again. Oh, lovely from Pagani. What a move.
Graham's got to save his penalty. So put Ross ahead of him.
Through goes Ross. Is Chubbs going to get a look as well? He may well do. He's coming up on the outside and breezes past. Coming into the 4th gear left-hander. And then you will just be a dab on the brakes around here and accelerate as soon as you dare. Not hitting the wall on the outside and coming through, so Chubbs gaining a place. This is still going on. These two must be feeling fairly secure in P1 and P2, because quite often what you will see is they won't, if they do end up at the front, they won't battle straight away. They'll leave it for the last couple of laps. But I think with a 2.5 second gap back to Aaron, they feel like they can do a bit of racing. And once again, T Smith. Here he comes. Ooh, takes a big cut to the curb, but he's got the move done. Just have to wait and see whether that will afford him another penalty. I think he should be okay. Yeah, it looks like he's got it done. Nice move from Graham. Recovering, had a rough couple of laps, did Graham. He's recovered back up to P5. And now we've got Joker gradually making his way up on the tail of Dusty Fossil. Let's see if he can do anything here. These two know each other very, very well. Will he make the move into turn 1? Just biding his time, maybe just showing his nose, trying to force Dusty Fossil into a mistake. Where is Beanbag going? No idea. Panda's followed him as well. Both of them quite far off at turn 1.
All over the back end of Pagani, yeah.
He's going to hold for now. We'll go back to this battle for P7. Joker pulls to the inside, coming up to the chicane. This is where we've seen most of the moves so far, and yeah, once again, he's afforded enough space. That's good driving, good respectful racing between the two of them. And still the action at the front. Pagani P1, T. Smith P2.
Aaron's edging out the time between them as well. It's coming down slowly.
He is coming back, a 1:13.4 from Aaron on the previous lap. Let's see what he does this time. It's going to be another mid 1:13, 1:13.5 compared to a 1:13.8 from T. Smith ahead of him. So Aaron is not out of this yet either. And I think Crew in the chat is right. I think now they might want to be waiting until the penultimate or the last lap, but they're not going to wait. Not this time. They are going to look to potentially go side by side again. Here we go. Both holding the line through there. Oh, I know it's you, Unsafe.
I was wondering who it was.
There you go. I want everyone to know who I'm referring to. Penalty for Dusty Fossil, penalty for Beanbag. This might bring Panda back into things. Serves the penalty. Here comes Panda. I think he's too far back. Yep. Just stay on board with Panda for a second, just to see if he can find his way past up to turn 1. Doesn't look like there's anything doing at the moment. It's been a bit of a rough race for Panda. You'd usually expect to see him a little bit further up than this.
T. Smith on the outside of Pagani, yeah.
Here we go again. It's deja vu. He's got past him a lot earlier this time, and now they go side by side into the chicane, and T. Smith just about holds it. Once again, Pagani falling in just enough room so that there's no contact between the two. Fantastic racing once again. Where is Aaron? Aaron is still 1.8 seconds back, so he's not gained in the last couple of laps. Ross still there in P4. Graham more comfortable now in P5. He's pulled out a bit of a gap to Captain Chubbs. And then it's as you were at the back. So we are going to focus for the last 2 laps on the battle for the front. T. Smith P1, Pagani P2. The lead has changed hands a few times now. It's always seemed to be at that entrance to that chicane. It's an interesting one actually, this track, because it's the easiest place to get alongside because of the long straight and the slipstream you'll get up the hill, but it's absolutely technically the most difficult place to make a move. Is Pagani going to go this time, or is he going to wait to the final lap? T. Smith defends. Pagani pulls to the outside and cuts across his nose just before they turn in.
Graham's picked up the half second, so could bring Chubbs back into it.
Yep, Chubbs a second and a half back at the minute, so he'll need to gain a little bit more, but it could well be done. Peteman's calling it for Pagani in the chat. And Pagani indeed is making a move here down towards the end of the lap here, and he's got it back. So we head round to the final turn for one more lap of the Watkins Glen short course. Ftrl Pagani leads us into the final lap ahead of T. Smith. Aaron in third, he is gaining, he's now 1.2 seconds. So don't count Aaron out just yet. Right to the edge. Right to the edge, both of them. Now this time, interestingly, Pagani's pulled a bit of a gap. And I don't think T. Smith's going to catch him before the chicane. So if he's going to get this race win and extend his lead at the top of the championship, he's going to have to do it in the last half of this lap. It's absolutely fired that Lamborghini through the chicane though. The gap back down to 2/10. Aaron's still closing, but I don't think he's going to be close enough, so it looks like it may well be between these two for the race win. 2 corners to go. Pagani still leads. Is there going to be a late move from T. Smith? I don't think he's close enough, so Pagani leads it round. T. Smith stuck right to the back and he pulls wide. Is he trying to switch back into the final corner? Pagani parks it on the apex, as he is more than entitled to do, and brings home a fantastic race win. Pagani P1, T. Smith P2, Aaron P3. Ross, a second and a half penalty won't matter because Graham's too far back. After some mid-race jitters, Graham brings it home to P5, Chubb's in P6. Joker, after a good battle with Dusty Fossil, comes home in 7th. Dusty Fossil 8th. And in the end, Panda did get past Beanbag, but he had a penalty to serve, so he drops back into 10th. Whew.
Good racing.
Great racing. It really was. I cannot explain how difficult it is to get through that chicane time and again when you're right next to somebody else.
It's nice to see how it's supposed to be done. Maybe get some tips for GT2.
Yeah, cool. So for anyone who doesn't know, we also run a GT2 race. Those tend to happen on Thursday nights. So that is the division below this one. And the racing is just as good. Maybe not quite as fast. But excellent racing there. So, in a few minutes, we will move on to the full Watkins Glen course in the Group 3 cars.
So the same cars again, but Group 3 instead of Group 4, yeah?
Yep, so same manufacturers. In fact, now we did run through the Drivers' Championship earlier, but we may as well have a look at the manufacturers as well. So, although T. Smith in the Lamborghini is leading the Drivers' Championship by a decent amount, it's actually Team Ferrari, which is Pagani and Aaron, who lead the Constructors' Championship. So they're on 489 points compared to Lamborghini's 464. Those are the two absolutely battling out for the title. But there's an interesting battle just behind them as well. Team Aston Martin on 321 points are battling Team Genesis on 316. So those really are the two battles to watch in the Constructors. So yeah, same manufacturers for each of the drivers, but into the Group 3 cars. Slightly different rules for this race. You can pit and change tyres as often as you like, but you must use the medium tyres at least once. So you'll see probably a mix of strategies. Some drivers may opt for the 2-stop and do a couple of stints on the softs. Others may just go for 2 stints on the mediums. Some of them may even push it and do a medium stint and a single soft stint. We've seen tyres wear out fairly often in these races this season.
We're reckon it's a 1-stop or a 2-stop or?
I have no idea. Some of the cars definitely easier on the fuel than others. I think the Aston Martin's pretty good on its fuel. I think the Genesis has been pretty bad. We'll keep an eye on it as the race goes on. Sort of after about 9 or 10 laps, we should be able to get a decent picture. Zomar in the chat. Hello, Zom. Good to have you along.
Reverse grid for this one as well, yeah?
It is indeed a full reverse grid. Be a rolling start again, but yeah, absolutely look out for those guys who finished near the top to be trying to work their way through. It's absolutely not a given, despite the length of the race. Right, please in the chat, get your predictions in for this race. Let's see who we've got. So starting at the front is going to be... Oh, actually, it's going to be Panda. So that might be a very good shout, to be fair. Because Panda's going to be starting at the front, and contrary to what we saw in the first race, he's not a slow driver, not by a long shot. Okay, Peeman's calling a win for himself.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, mate, you're going to have to get racing again.
I'll take a podium, like.
I tell you what, it's been very, very difficult for anybody except the leading three to take podiums this season. They really have been a class above. Right, here we go. Race 2, the final race of this evening. 27 laps of the Watkins Glen full course in the Group 3 cars, and it will be F-Zero Panda in the Genesis to lead us off ahead of Beanbag. Then it's Dusty Fossil P3, Joker, Captain Chubbs, Graham, Ross, Aaron, T. Smith, and at the back having won race 1, FTRL Pagani. And away we go. I was about to say we should see a fairly orderly start, but Dusty Fossil is quickly making ground on Beanbag, and Joker is right there as well, looking for P3. And looks for a move down the inside of the first corner. Doesn't quite get it done, and that has brought Captain Chubbs into play, and there's a real battle going on here already for P2 all the way down to P5. Oh, this could be interesting going into this chicane. They're too wide, they're 2 by 2. Joker in fact pulls to the outside, surely he's not going to make it 3 wide, no, he tucks back in, oh, and there's contact. Dusty Fossil takes a clip on the rear bumper and goes off wide. pulls back on safely, but that puts him right back down to the back of the field. Promotes Beanbag still in P2, and then Chubbs, Joker, and now Graham joins the party as well. So drama on the first lap here. That just shows just how difficult it is to get through that chicane section, and even more difficult in the faster Group 3 cars. Interesting to see Joker there started on the soft tyres, so you'd be looking for him to move through the field as he's trying to do right now. So the longer circuit encompasses these few corners that we didn't see previously.
Aaron on the inside of Ross.
Aaron makes a move, T. Smith. Ross has run wide there, hasn't he? Is he going to be able to hold his position? No, he drops down to P8 and has also picked up a penalty for running wide. Oh, and there's contact there with Pagani as he got very, very tail happy coming out of that corner. That is a very, very easy corner to do that on. Oh, and Beanbag's gone. Beanbag. It's round. Onto the ground. I'm not even sure how he did that. Well, I don't know if there was contact or what. That's not a place I usually expect somebody to be spinning. Well, all drama on lap 1. Ross is in P7 now, but with a half-second penalty, just ahead of Pagani. Ross, T. Smith ahead of him, and then it's Aaron, then Graham, and once again, we've got probably going to have action coming up to the chicane again, because Captain Chubbs is right on the tail of Joker. He's only a tenth back. Joker defends to the inside, Captain Chubbs pulls to the left. Is he brave enough to make the move? Yes, he is, but he's gone deep. Will Joker be able to switch back? Not quite. Chubbs gets the move done, and that's compromised Joker's exit, and Graham is right up the inside. Opportunistic move from Graham. Can he make it stick? Well, he's side by side, but he's going to have the outside line coming into this corner, and I think he's just going to, back out of that and get a better line. Aaron's now picked up a penalty, which is going to let T. Smith through shortly. So bad news for Team Ferrari, their main rival. It's going to be ahead of both of them. But still plenty of time.
Ross has picked up a 1.5 as well. Foster's probably going to get ahead of him.
Oh, that's bad news for Ross. Serves a penalty.
That's a hard one to take.
Yeah. Meanwhile, after all this action, Panda is building quite a lead, 2.5 seconds, as they come towards the end of lap 2. Chubbs is there in P2, but very, very closely followed by Joker, who's looking to make the most of the soft tyres. And it is now T. Smith, followed by Aaron, followed by Pagani. Only 5.5 seconds separate first from 7th. And as we've said already, there's a long way to go. It's been very interesting to see what Panda can do with this first stint, because he is pulling out the gap. Joker has made his way past Graham, but he has also picked up a half-second penalty. So that is, he's going to have to try really, really hard to make a bit of a gap, otherwise he's going to come under a lot of pressure. T. Smith has magicked himself up to P4. I'm not sure how he's done that. Using all the curb coming out of the chicane and gaining all the time.
Pagani's picked up a half second.
Yeah, bad news for Pagani. Fortunately though, it won't affect his position at the minute. He'll just have to do a bit of work to catch back up to the pack after serving it. Aaron very, very close to Captain Chubbs now.
Rear man, T. Smith could end up ahead of here, Joker here. Yeah.
There it is. Can Joker hold the inside line? Not quite. Oh, and a bit of contact there going into the turn between Captain Chubbs and Aaron. Chubbs still getting a bit squiffy coming out of it. And then very, very wide as he looks to sweep round on the exit of that corner, and the Genesis again getting a bit tail happy. Yeah, I think P-Man in the chat, absolutely right. T. Smith can indeed just seem to magic himself wherever he wants. And this is GT1. There is some seriously fast drivers here, but at the moment, and certainly for the past few seasons, nobody can hold a candle to that man in the Lamborghini. Oh, people very wide and a bit all over the place coming out of T1. That's potentially a penalty for Aaron. He may get away with it. Things I learned recently, incidentally, if you do go wide or cut a corner, if you let off the throttle, you're a lot less likely to get a penalty.
Lee Smith past Joker, up in the second.
Here he comes. And now, Panda will have to start looking over his shoulder. Because it's more than likely that T. Smith is going to start reeling him in. So Graham now P2, Joker in 4th, Captain Chubbs, then Aaron, followed by Pagani, still hanging on in P7. Oh, this is very close, we've got a proper train going here. Oh, where is Chubbs going? Another massive slide on the exit of the corner. And that has cost him P5. Really seems to be struggling with the tail end of that Genesis, and he's gone. He's dropped it on the outside, and he's round, and he can't get it straightened up. Oh, nightmare for Captain Chubbs, down to P8, and that is him out of the battle for now. Really seems to be struggling with traction coming out of some of the slower corners. It is very easy to do that on this track. Ross now in P9. It's not gone too well for Ross either. And being back at the minute, a lonely P10. So, lap 5 of 27, Panda leads us round start. 3-second gap, and he set a 1:46.7, which was going to be the fastest lap of the race, except for the fact T. Smith has dropped it at 1:46.2. So, well, yeah. Ooh, Joker with a very late lunge there, but he made it stick. Keeping himself there in P3. Get the finish is going to be a very tight battle for a long portion of this race between these 4 or 5 guys. Not much to choose between them at the minute. So this is where also the tyre strategy starts to come into play. Looking at the bottom left of the screen, you can see the various levels of tyre wear and fuel depletion. Panda doing okay. T. Smith doing very well. Joker's soft tyres are starting to suffer. It's allowed him to battle with these guys towards the front, but he is going to have to pit quite soon, and we've only completed a little under 5 laps. So I think Joker's going to get absolutely maximum 7 laps out of these tyres before we have to pit. The advantage, of course, is that will give him a little bit more clean air when he comes out, and there's been a lot of battling going on, so it could well end up helping him. We'll have to see. These guys all setting times into the 1:46s now.
Graham all over the back of Joker.
Here he comes. Joker's tyres may now be starting to just let him down a little bit. Graham tries to go to the inside, but I think that Dodge just got really good straight line speed. And there's no way through at the moment. I think Graham is... Oh, penalty for Joker. 1 second penalty. So I think we are approaching pit time for Joker. As I say, Graham is in the position really where he has to make a move or be overtaken himself, and that might just happen here because Aaron's coming up the inside. And it looks like he might have made the move there. Joker's right in between the two of them. He's going to have to serve his penalty soon, but not just yet. And Graham looks to hold the inside of this turn. They're still side by side. Joker will be disappearing from this equation shortly. Indeed, he pulls to the side there. And away they go. Graham still just about leads from Aaron, and Pagani is very close as well. And a bit further behind them, Joker's still in the picture, but as we said, he will be pitting very shortly. And then Dusty Fossil not too far back either. So it's now down to these 3 in close attendance. And Graham is the one feeling all the pressure at the moment.
Panda still kind of holding the gap.
Indeed he is, 2.9 seconds, he's doing an excellent job as Joker does indeed come into the pits.
Oh, nearly drops it on the curb.
Well, as we saw with Captain Chubbs, that Genesis is very twitchy, particularly coming out of these slower corners. If you drop your foot just a little bit too early, you can be in all sorts of trouble. He's doing a really, really good job of hanging onto it so far and setting some really very consistent laps as well. Last 3 laps for Panda, 146.7, 146.6, 146.666. So, yeah, at the minute, T. Smith not really catching him. However, look at the difference in tyre wear. Running the same tyres. The Lambo definitely puts more of it towards the rear, but even so, I don't know if Panda's going half distance on these tyres, if that was his intended strategy. It could well come into play later in this race. Graham's done very, very well to hold off the 2 Ferraris thus far. He's having a good race as he pushes that right to the outside. And we've got a little battle here brewing between Dusty Fossil and Captain Chubbs. So Chubbs trying to recover after his multiple incidents earlier. See if he makes it around this corner this time. Oh my word. Joker's come out on the mediums after his pit stop, so can imagine he's going to try and 2-stop. And we do see the other driver on the softs, who's Dusty Fossil, into the pits as well, a lap later than his teammate. So let's see where he comes out in proximity to him. It's interesting because he was quite far behind before the pit stops. It's a long pit lane, however. Here comes Joker, and he is indeed going to move ahead. So for a minute I thought Dusty Fossil was going to get out ahead of him, but it's a long old pit exit. And here comes Beanbag as well. We can see a little bit of action at the back of the running order here. Dusty Fossil trying to get up to speed. Let's see if Beanbag can make the move. Or was he just going to settle for pushing him down the straight? Yeah, he's not going to make a move this time.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a rarity. A penalty for T. Smith. So Panda still holding the gap at roughly equal 2.8 seconds, and T. Smith now has a half-second penalty to deal with, and that is going to bring him back into the clutches of the 3 behind him. So Graham, Aaron and Pagani still pressing on. All of these guys setting times around about the mid to high 146s, so there's nothing to choose between them. And if Graham can just get a little bit closer, he might have a shot at retaking P2 here over the course of the next lap. He's ever so slowly reeling in the Lamborghini. The gap now just under a second. Let's see how he handles the chicane. Oh, nicely taken from Graham. T. Smith pulls out a little more of a gap though. And he'll want to do just enough so that he does not relinquish the position under serving the penalty.
T. Smith took nearly half a second out of Panda through that sequence, like.
It's really pushing.
Gonna lose it with this penalty though.
Yep. He knows how important it is to push on and make sure he maintains his position and the gap, even though he has to serve this penalty. Here we go, he slows down. Let's see how much Graham gains. Oh, it's very close. Ironically, a half-second penalty will lose you more than half a second, and Graham is right on the tail of the Lamborghini now. Interestingly, T. Smith tyres have dropped off a lot more than Graham's. I originally thought Graham was the one suffering more from tyre wear, but that rear left on the Lamborghini is looking decidedly dodgy. And if these guys are running a one-stop, they've got to get to at least lap 13, so another 4 laps. So that'll be another thing to keep an eye on. Captain Chubb's the first into the pits from the medium tyre runners. He's absolutely shredded those tyres. That's probably as a result of him going around in circles too often.
Front left on Panda's ripped to bits like.
Yeah, that Genesis not kind on the tyres. Oh yeah. There may have to be a little bit of a strategy rethink, because I'm pretty convinced that all of these guys are pushing for a one-stop medium then medium, but with 27 laps to do and we're only on lap 10, there is absolutely no way that Panda is making it to half race distance. He's quite far down on fuel compared to the Lamborghini of T. Smith as well, which will affect the amount of time he has to stay in the pits for. And that gap is coming down very, very, very quickly. 1.5 seconds now. Panda's definitely had a moment here somewhere. Those tyres are giving up on him. I'll be honest, I think he needs to come into the pits for this lap. Maybe pit for some softs and see if he can keep pace after that. Oh, massive moment! He has to come in. He's struggling so much, losing so much time. Oh, don't tell me he's going, oh my word, he's going around again. There's no way he's going to hold out. He needs to come into the pits. Pagani is into the pits off the mediums. I'll be honest, I don't think that was a wise move from Panda. He's certainly going to lose P1 soon to T. Smith. I suppose he could come in and consider the hard tyres. No one ever seems to consider the hard tyres though, and I'll tell you why, because I did it last week at Kyoto and it was an absolute nightmare.
See, we've not had that problem in GT2.
No, of course, GT2.
No pit stops and nothing.
Running the Suzukis, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Group 4 Suzukis in 3 sprint races, so yeah. It's made for some fantastic racing, I'll be honest, in GT2.
I've enjoyed the season, like. It's a bit different F1.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you could get more different. Oh my word, that tyre is dying a death. I mean, he's managed to stay ahead, but I think it has to be this lap. He's trying to wait out T. Smith, but it has to be this lap, or it's just going to go to nothing, and you just won't be able to drive that car. Yeah, here we go. So T. Smith carries on. Race leader Panda comes into the pits and relinquishes the lead. So new race leader T. Smith, followed by Graham, 7/10 of a second behind. I would very closely followed by Aaron as well, but I would absolutely keep an eye on Graham because he is doing by far the best in terms of tyre wear out of anyone. So he really could push it to halfway. Oh, we've lost Panda from the room. That's a shame, I don't know what's happened there. Yeah, keep an eye on Graham. Fuel and tyres, he could certainly go over half race distance, so a one stop is absolutely on for him. It's probably on for... Ooh, where's he going? It's probably on for all of these guys, to be fair, but Aaron's going to have to pit this lap. And probably so is T. Smith, so they're really going to have to stretch it. I think this is where Graham has the advantage, to be honest.
Chubbs has picked up a half-second behind Pagani.
Oh, that's a shame, because he was right with him as well. He will drop back a bit. Let's stick with the front three, just so they come around for the end of this lap to see if we see some pit stops. I would expect that we would. Oh, T-Smith's going for another lap. They all are. Wow. So they're all pushing for the one stop.
Yeah, the left rear on there, T. Smith's isn't looking too good.
It's very, very dodgy now. Yeah, I think we might have seen some connection issues for Panda. That might explain why we've seen him sort of towards the back of the pack for most of this evening. That's a shame. So P5 is Pagani, and Pagani now setting pretty fast laps for the medium tyres. Captain Chubbs, incidentally, absolutely flying at one point onto the soft tyres. Now 1:44.9 on lap 11. He's not reached those sort of levels since, but my word, that's a quick lap. Joe Quinn P7, Dusty Foster P8, Beanbag out the back in P9. Well, that tyre is gonna blow. He can't push it another lap. It's gonna have to be this lap. So it'll be interesting to see what Graham does.
But I think he could do a couple more laps maybe, couldn't he?
He could at least, yeah, certainly one more, maybe even two, but it's whether you want to... I mean, fuel's roughly similar. They'll come out in the same order, most likely.
T. Smith's picked up a half-second.
Oh, that is very interesting. Could Graham just squeeze it on fuel, perhaps?
Aaron needs to pit, his left rear's gone.
They've got to come in now. They're all coming in, I think. Yeah. Oh, Graham's gone for another lap. So T. Smith is in, Aaron is in, Graham's gone for another lap. So maybe Graham thinking, with that penalty of T. Smith, he could go around for another lap, do his stop, and then still be in touch. Because he wants to remain in touch with those two, he wants to remain in the slipstream. And what this will, of course, give him is when we get to lap 27, when those tyres are going to be just as bad for everyone else, Graham will be one lap better off. So that might be what allows him to challenge towards the end of the race. So Pagani into P2 for now, Chubbs into P3. T. Smith is just crawling his way out of the pit lane. Aaron a little further behind. I think Aaron's fueled slightly more than T. Smith. So he's going to rely on that penalty for the Lamborghini to bring him back into contention.
Spin coming into the pits as well.
Yeah, so indeed. So he's going to have to do some work to catch back up. These guys are going to have to look after their tyres more as well. They've got a lap further to go than they did on the first stint. And you don't want to be going one lap more with the tyres in that shape, I tell you right now. Okay, Graham, 21 seconds in the lead. He will be coming round, most likely, certainly with his fuel in the red, to pit this lap. You can see those times dropping off. It's almost a second slower than his fastest lap. And that will cost him on this lap. What's he going to do? Cuts in. One more lap for Graham. Well, well, well. This is making for a fascinating final part of this race. The gap is coming down. Graham, when he pits, is going to be a fair bit further behind than he was previously, courtesy of the undercut that T. Smith and Aaron are going to get. Wouldn't write Pagani off just yet either. He was further back. He is still further back in terms of sort of net position. But he's setting very, very good laps. A 1:45.6 on his lap on the medium tyres. So don't rule Pagani or Chubbs out of this yet either. Although Chubbs will have to do another stop, definitely. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Lennon in the chat, saying that this final lap could cost Graham. Has he pushed it a little bit too far? I'm not sure. This is probably going to be a very slow lap. The only thing I'm thinking is if he goes to the end of lap 15, does he think he could get away with putting soft tyres on? I mean, that's a huge ask. I don't think so. I think he's just relying on he'll go onto another set of mediums. Oh, gosh, right into the wall there. I think he'll just go onto another set of mediums and just rely on the fact that he can absolutely push them the whole way, because he'll know he'll have such an advantage over the others. Right, finally, our race leader enters the pits. And we are going to stay right here and see where he comes out. Right, get your predictions in, people. We're on lap 16 now. So 12 laps to go. Here comes Graham. Of course, he would have to put less fuel in than the others as well, but Pagani and Chubbs have come through.
Start finish now.
Here he comes. Oh, that's an agonising pit exit for Graham. T. Smith takes the lead. Graham's gone onto the soft tyres. He has indeed gone onto the soft, and he comes out not too far behind as well. That is slightly unexpected. In fact, he is side by side with Aaron. Absolute drama here. What's Graham going to do? He is on the soft tyres. He will want to push and try and make the most of them. However, it's a bit unfortunate. He's come out just behind Aaron. He's going to find it a little more difficult now to chase down T. Smith unless he can get a clean move done. Ooh, the cold tyres just giving him a bit of an issue around the chicane there. He's going to have to nurse them. As we saw before, the soft tyres on some of the other cars lasted 7-8 laps. And yes, the Aston Martin's good on the tyres, but good luck to him. Len in the chat asking, is Pagani 2 stopping? I mean, he has to. He's going to run out of fuel if not. I mean, I think he's relying on putting in some really quick laps with lower fuel. And indeed he is doing that on 145s, but given that he's only 10 seconds ahead of T. Smith, he's got a lot to do. He will go onto the soft tyres for a final stint, and they can probably gain you a second a lap. But he's going to have to do a little bit more than that if he wants to catch up with the front pack. He was further behind during the pit stops, to be honest. He got stuck in the mid pack, and I think he was P7 right before he came in. So we'll see. Never rule out Pagani. That's what I always say. What do you do here if you're Graham? Do you try and overtake?
I don't know much about it, but for me, if I push, you've got nothing to lose now, really. You maybe a podium, because Chubbs is going to have to pit again. Obviously, Pagani, you're seeing he'll have to pit again.
Yep.
So, I
mean, you can push.
Save your tyres for a couple of laps and push towards the end, or.
I think that's the move to make, to be honest. I think they are soft tyres. They are going to wear. I think follow Aaron, stay in the slipstream, conserve your tyres, and then push the last few laps, because these guys' tyres are going to be dropping off then anyway. The more freedom you give T. Smith, though, the more smoothly he's going to be able to drive, the quicker he'll be towards the end. But I think, yeah, it's probably easy at the minute with those softer tyres. It's probably easy for Graham to stay in the slipstream of Aaron.
Looking up the inside.
No, he's gone for the move. I was completely wrong. He's gone for the move, and he's made the move stick as well. So fair play. Nice move from Graham. Takes back P4.
Chubbs left front's gone like.
Oh Lord, get in the pits, Chubbs. There we go. Oh, it's a bit wide. Nearly hit the pit wall. Right, so Chubbs is in. Let's see where that brings him out. It's probably going to be, to be honest, it might have to be a pair of mediums the way that Genesis is going through its tyres. This should be Chubbs out in... Ooh. It's going to be close, actually, between him and Joker. I forget how many No, Joker's in the pits as well, so it's not going to be Joker. Dusty Fossil will have to pit as well, so that will see Chubbs out in a comfortable sort of net P5. Yep, so P6 at the minute for Chubbs. Oh, here comes Ross. Well, Ross might not be pitting again either. It doesn't look like it. He's not long stopped. So there could be a nice little battle brewing there for what will be P5. That's a good recovery from Ross, because he was quite far down the order before. So Pagani is P1, still 10 seconds ahead of T-Smith, but still to make a pit stop. T-Smith P2, and Graham is now gaining. Half a second is the gap. Does he want to try and get ahead quick and just give himself a gap? Certainly looking like he can do it at the moment. Just got to pick your moment. T-Smith knows full well how to defend. Is he going to defend here? Graham's looking, but not going to make the move there. As they pull around the final corner for the 18th time, coming around for lap 19 out of 27. T-Smith pulls right to the inside, then cuts back. Graham is going to look for a move into T1 on this contact at the apex. Graham does take the position. I mean, he was alongside, he braked later. There was a bit of contact as they both turned in. I think we'll chalk that up to a racing incident, and Graham has made it into P2. Dusty Fossil in the pits.
Graham, T-Smith coming back at Graham.
Oh, he's coming back up the hill. He's got the position back, and Aaron's right there as well. These three absolutely battling it out. And he's going to be like this all the way to the end of the race, I'm sure of it.
Not going to help Graham on the soft, so going backwards and forwards.
No. That's what I mean. We're talking about him possibly needing to conserve those tyres. Oh, and a bit of a punt there going into that turn. Aaron's been an interested observer for most of this. He's a lot closer than he has been previously. Lennon is absolutely right as well. This is perfect for Pagani, all this battling. He's stretched out a 12-second gap now. I've not counted. I think the pits probably cost 20, probably a bit over 25 seconds. So he's got a lot of work to do, but if he comes out on fresh soft soon, he's not coming in this time. Yeah, Pagani does the last 7 laps on soft tyres. He can probably easily gain a second a lap, maybe more. So yeah, absolutely keep an eye on Pagani. Graham is there, back in P2 now, and now he has half a second on T-Smith. Can he make it count? And crucially, can he stay ahead going up to the chicane? If he gets T1 right, he might be able to manage it. Last lap, T-Smith pulled it back in the slipstream and got ahead of him, and he's got a good run out of the corner again. I think Graham has to defend this for all he's worth. Lamborghini coming back so quickly. Aaron's got a penalty and he's dropping back. This time, oh, it's very, very tight. T-Smith's got to try for the move. They're side by side going into the chicane. Oh, Graham's held it. Fantastic driving from both of them. Brilliant from Graham and T-Smith. Graham is still just about ahead. T-Smith all over him. Aaron trying to keep pace, but he's going to have to serve a half-second penalty. Wow.
Russ spun it into the chicane, side by side by Chubbs.
Oh no. Oh dear, disaster for Ross. Fortunately for him, is a long way back to Joker in P7. Graham is now stretching the gap. 1 second, he is out of slipstream range to T. Smith.
Pagani in the pits.
Here we go, so it'll be very, very interesting to see just how far behind Pagani is when he comes out of the pits. Only 7 laps to go. He won't have to put a huge amount of fuel in. He's not going to be a million miles behind. I would trust that he's got his fuel right. I reckon you're going to see a good 12 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, bang on.
Look at that, spot on. 12 seconds.
What's the lottery numbers for tomorrow?
That 1 second gap is still there. T. Smith will give it everything to stay in touch.
They've got pretty similar tyre wear now though.
Yeah, Graham's got to watch those tyres. Pagani, it's a lot to ask from Pagani, it really, really is. I mean, these guys are slowing down, but, well, Graham's not slowing down. Mid 146s at the moment for T. Smith. There's the fastest lap of the race so far, Captain Chubbs, is a 144.8. I would absolutely bet on Pagani beating that at some point soon. And he has thrown it into that corner. This is what Pagani is best at, just literally putting his foot to the floor and putting in insanely fast laps. But 2 seconds a lap is a huge ask. He will have to hope.
Graham's are better than Tom's, but his fronts are a lot worse.
Yeah, Pagani's going to have to rely on these guys really, really struggling on tyres towards the end of the stint, slowing down a lot. Because at the minute, Graham is still setting times in the 145s. 145.7 for Graham, 146.2 for T. Smith. Graham now has a 1.5 second gap. We have 6 laps to go. I think Aaron's race, again, depend on any potential battling at the front. I think Aaron may be more concerned now about Pagani behind him than the guys in front of him. T. Smith really seems to have the edge through this first sector, through the chicane, and around the next couple of corners. And then Graham just seems to stretch out a bit after that. Just got to take care of those tyres. Something I will say as well is what will be coming up later in the year as part of the partnership with Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate is we will be looking to enter into a good few sort of endurance races, particularly a couple of 24-hour races that are coming up. And so the details of the partnership are that FTRL is fully affiliated with Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate. So all our leagues, all the people involved, you're all a part of it now, which is great to know. What we will also be doing in addition to that is some of our top drivers will also be representing formally representing the Bristol Street Motors Accelerate esports team. And those are the guys that are going to be involved in the sort of races. The next one is the 24 Hours of Daytona that's coming up in August, with the end goal of potentially getting an entry into the virtual 24 Hours of Le Mans next February.
Crazy.
Be insane.
Wouldn't it be mental?
Be absolutely unbelievable. And I'll actually say that at the minute, these guys at the front, certainly these top 4, are almost certainly going to be a part of that. And it just goes to show this is the sort of racing you get at FTRL. This is why we're in this position. 2 seconds now, the gap.
Any of these on controller or the on wheel?
I think most are on wheel. Certainly a couple of guys definitely still use controller, and you know the game does allow for that and balance it out really well.
Yeah.
So it's so yeah, I think most on wheel now, but certainly a few still on controller. Yeah, Aaron's dropped back now too.
Imagine turning up for the 24-hour Le Mans. Everyone's in £3,000 rigs and you turn up with your PlayStation controller and beat them all.
If only it was on PlayStation, I think they'd get away with that. I tell you what, this gap is now coming down quite significantly. 1:45.0 from Pagani on the last lap. Let's see what he does this time. It took a second and a half out of Aaron on the last lap. Oh, I think he's going quicker this time. Fastest lap of the race, 1:44.339 from Pagani. And that is a full 2.5 seconds quicker than Aaron ahead of him. This could be a podium for Pagani at the expense of his teammate. And then he may well be setting his sights on the guys ahead of him. Never rule him out. T. Smith somehow goes purple through the first sector. I have no idea how he's done that. He's doing absolutely everything to keep this gap in check.
Graham got a 2-second gap.
That gap is just undulating up and down. It was slightly more than that, now it's slightly less. And he just cannot get away. And after this he's got another 3 laps, and those soft tyres are looking distinctly second hand now. Joker's in the pits, not sure why. I think he might have just gone in for the fun of it. He's not changed tyres, doesn't look like he's put, maybe he ran out of fuel, I don't know. And that promotes Beam, maybe he did it for a bit of racing, because that promotes Beanbag to P8, just ahead of him. There you go. Beanbag in P8, Joker in P9. And Graham still leads. Lap 24 coming round for lap 25. He's got to eke out those tyres for 3 more laps. And he'll have completed what will be an almighty victory.
Pagani's brought that gap right down.
Here he comes. I will say, I'm not going to jinx him or anything, but this will be Graham's first victory this season if he pulls it off. 3 laps to go. The gap between Pagani and Aaron is now 4 seconds. It is another 4.5 seconds from Aaron to T. Smith, so I think probably now, as ridiculously rapid as he's going, I think the best Pagani can hope for is probably P3 now. But pulling off that 2-stop after being fairly far back after the initial skirmishes in the first few laps is hugely impressive. T. Smith yet to make any real inroads. The gap just dipping below 2 seconds. And then back above. Graham still holding his own. But can he hold on to his tyres? And the same goes for T. Smith, to be honest. It's left front versus left rear now as we go into towards the final 2 laps. Chubb's in a comfortable P5. Ross again out on his own in P6. Same is going to be said for Dusty Fossil in P7. And Jerker's now managed to pull on the fresh... Oh, he did put on fresh tyres in the end. Goes back ahead of Beanbag into P8. So we come round for the penultimate lap of this race, and we've got 2 battles brewing. One for P1 between Graham and T. Smith. 2 seconds separates them. And then one between Aaron and Pagani. And Pagani is gaining exponentially now. He's a second and a half back and closing on every single corner. He's taking a 10th out of Aaron every time they round a bend. It is not looking good for Aaron. Pagani's on the soft tyres. They're far fresher. I think Pagani's going to get him. Unfortunately for Pagani, he needs another 2 or 3 laps, then he'd be right with the leaders, but he's just going to run out of time. gap has closed slightly. Graham's still keeping it at bay. Squash fuel as well. He should just have enough. Both of them should just have enough to get around the final lap. They've calculated that absolutely perfectly. Pagani right on the back of Aaron now. The two Ferraris teammates going at it. Pagani wants to find a way through as soon as possible. Aaron is defending. I think they probably both know this is just for P3 now, so they're not going to do anything stupid. Well, it's fair, even if they did, there's an 11-second gap back to Captain Chubb, so this should be okay. Pagani with the switchback up the inside, a big slide. Oh, that was nearly a calamity, but he makes his way through. And onto the podium. Final lap of the race. The gap is now 2.2 seconds. All Graham has to do now is make the fuel and the tyres last, and he would have completed a monumental victory. His first of the season. Is there anything T. Smith can do? I think he's going to have to rely on either a mistake or... Oh, I don't think he's going to run out of fuel, Graham, to be fair. I think he's got just enough. It's just whether those tyres hang on.
Looking like a good strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, both of these guys have timed this absolutely to perfection by the look of it. I think he should be alright now. I'm just a little concerned for Graham's front left, just slightly.
Just same as Tom's rear left, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Just opposite way around.
Pagani is now P3 by a margin. Graham just has to see it through these final couple of corners. Don't pick up any penalties, don't do anything silly. Got the gap now, just ease it home. And over the course of, well, about 45 minutes and 27 laps, round the final corner comes Graham in the Aston Martin, and he is going to take his first victory of the season. And what a victory it was. Unbelievable drive. And doesn't he know it? P1 for Graham. What a victory. Beats T. Smith into P2. Pagani, after a wonderful recovery on the two-stop strategy, coming in.
I don't think his front left would have lasted another lap.
No, absolutely. Aaron in the end couldn't hang on and finishes fourth. And then decent recovery from Captain Chubbs as well. P5 for him. And then in the background we will see Ross in 6th, Dusty Foster in 7th, Joker in 8th, and Beanberg in 9th. And he's got a penalty just for good measure on the final lap. But what a victory that was. I tell you, that takes some doing.
Ross has run out of fuel.
Oh no, he's going to get there. He's out of fuel, but he is going to get there. There we go. P6 for Ross. Nothing like a good strategy, as you said. Dusty Fossil home in P7. Joker's multi-stop strategy, I forget how many he had, didn't quite work out for him in the end.
Well,
but he will.
For him.
Oh really? Wow. I mean, there were key points in that race where he really did have to hang on for dear life, and he did so. No denying, fantastic win. Well, there we have it.
I enjoyed that. Hopefully everyone in chat could understand us.
Very, very much so. Really, really did enjoy that. Great racing, as you do get every week in Ftrl, of course. Well, there we have it. We are done for another week. We will be back next week, let's have a quick look at where we're going to be.
It's Deep Forest for GT2, I think.
So Deep Forest for GT2 next Thursday in the Group 4 Suzukis, and then in GT1 we will be... we've actually got two separate tracks next week. For the Group 4 we are at High Speed Ring, and then for the Group 3 we're at Dragon Trail Gardens. So absolutely we'll look forward to that, as we look forward indeed to bigger and better things with FTRL in association with Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate. I mean, that's the main story of the night. Or it was the main story of the night. I think now the main story is definitely Graham's victory. Fantastic job. Let's see if he can repeat it next week. Well, there we are. I've been SBY818. You've been Zombie.
I have been.
Thank you very, very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it.
No, thanks for having us. I really did.
Brilliant stuff. And we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.